What's that movie? Oh, Castaway. I can't watch that movie anymore because the director said that package Tom Hanks didn't open had a waterproof, solar powered GPS satellite phone. You could have been
Oh
off
my
that
god.
damn island in a week.
Oh my god. Now I can never watch it the same way again.
Welcome to Tairimo Boys Podcast. I'm your host, Cody. With me in second chair is the boy who's full of sunshine and unicorns. It's Jeremy.
Oh, that's way too much happy for me.
You don't want the happy ending, Jeremy?
Yeah, not that one. No unicorns involved.
With me in third chair is the boy who awaits the sweet release of retirement. It's Ryan.
What's up?
Today, we're going back in the past and reviewing another Harrison Ford movie. This one considered a cult classic with the original Blade Runner. As a caveat, I have to say the version of this movie that we're reviewing is like the final director's cut version from the 2000s, from 2007. Guys, here's your spoiler if you're unaware. There's a bunch of different versions of this movie that are floating around.
I've heard that. I read up a little bit on that. I didn't realize that there was so much.
Yeah, the development of this was a mess, and the director behind it, Ridley Scott, he didn't like a bunch of the older versions. If you're unaware, this movie kind of bombed in the box office. It had a budget of 30 million, but made 41.8 million. But that's still considered a bomb. I mean, just look at Ghostbusters 2016. It really kind of got picked up and famous, like more in like the recent decades.
You're gonna accidentally will an all-female Blade Runner into existence.
You know, it was only a few years ago that the new Blade Runner came out, and as far as I know, they didn't cuck it. I didn't see it though. But anyways, Jeremy, what were your first thoughts?
This was a very interesting movie. I did really, really enjoy it. There were some things that I didn't enjoy so much, but I wound up, as a whole, I would watch it again. Just not anytime soon.
We'll circle back and get to some of those things you didn't like because it's probably some of the stuff I also want to complain about. But but
What
before
we do.
that, Ryan, first thoughts.
I pretty much enjoyed this movie. Not as much as the last Harrison Ford movie we reviewed, but still.
Agreed.
For anyone unaware, our last Harrison Ford movie was Temple of Doom, which is one of Ryan's favorite movies. So
Go watch a review. It was great.
it was. As for me, I'm gonna go out here and say it was okay. I felt like it was an above average movie. Like it didn't really wow me, but it wasn't awful. And looking at the history of it, I could see probably why I didn't like the movie. But before that, Jeremy, go ahead and you spill the beans. What didn't you like about this movie?
Pacing. Good lord. I honestly felt like really nothing happened for almost the first hour. And then some stuff happened. It got interesting, and then it died off again, and like stuff really didn't happen till the end. Like I know I have a form of ADHD, but god damn, like there was parts of this movie I really had trouble paying attention to.
Ryan, would you say that criticism's accurate?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. When I was watching this, I was like, oh, this is supposed to be an action movie and nothing's happening. And another thing, too, what was happening in this movie was there would just be constant scenes of like absolutely nothing happening. And there'd be like all these questions. They'd slowly kind of loosely answer the questions, but they wouldn't fully answer them. I was like, this feels so weird. And then whenever I went and looked into like the older versions of this movie, apparently the reason there's so much not going on is because the original version of this movie they had like Harrison Ford narrating over it and explaining all this stuff.
I don't know if I would be against that idea of Harrison Ford narrating it. I think that would be kind of cool, given the like detective kind of noir, not black and white though type of feel I got from this movie. I like that idea.
Yeah, whenever I was watching and learned about that, I was thinking it's like maybe we the original version was better when it came to this stuff because it would explain it, and then you wouldn't have these whole scenes where like absolutely nothing was happening.
In slow walking and slow motion. Oof. We got sprinkled with like a couple cool things that happened in between the action, but it just wasn't enough to really keep my attention.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I love this world they built. Like, it's like the perfect like dystopian thing that they have going on. Animals are
Who knew they would?
extinct, and
Who knew they would have predicted that 2019 Chinatown, LA looked a lot like 2020 LA during that special time where we had to wear masks.
I forgot to do my joke. Like, this movie takes place in the far distant year of 2019.
Insert joke here.
I think Demolition Man did that too.
When I saw it said 2019, I was like, oh, that sure looked like LA during that special time. Yep, I remember it. I was there.
I mean, the movie is futuristic, and the architecture and stuff they have going on, it looks absolutely stunning. Like it,
100% agree. Love the architecture. It was present in most scenes. Like set pieces were great in this movie.
the outside of buildings and the streets were all grimy. It's ideal whenever it comes to sci-fi. Ryan, your thoughts?
Yeah, the architecture is really killer. I enjoyed it, but I've always liked that kind of style.
All right, so I'm gonna come out here and say it. Did you boys think that overall this was kind of a weird movie?
I still don't know what I watched. I kind of got a message from it. I'll share it with you guys in a bit to see if you guys kind of got the same take out of it, but it was a weird one for me.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I ain't gonna. Yeah, it's a weird one.
Especially like the final boss fight in it, where it's just complete like nonsense. It got a freaking Looney Tunes. It feels like.
100% Looney Tunes. It was goofy as hell, but that kind of led me to think about like the overall message of the movie. Were the like suspected bad guys really the bad guy, or were they just trying to live? Nexus 6 was supposedly created a mutiny off world, right, to escape.
Mm-hmm.
But is it a mutiny if you're escaping slavery, or is that just freeing yourself? And then they go on to say that like it was a kill on sight thing when they came back to Earth, and it was not called an execution but a retirement, kind of like a cover up, like a something an angry CEO guy would do.
I knew that term was gonna come up. And next off, it's crazy CEO guy. If you remember our time in that restaurant, this isn't a Marvel movie, Jeremy.
I know.
They,
I had to say it though.
they were the bad guys because I was thinking throughout this movie, it's like you've got off-world colonization. Like they didn't have to come back and start murdering people, but they did.
Yeah, I guess they were kind of loose cannons, but I don't know. I still got even with that little speech that we got from the crazy boss guy that was howling like a wolf at the end. Like his message was just like it's all for nothing. Like were they really the bad guys? I don't know. I can see it as black and white or black and gray, I guess.
Yeah, that is what they're establishing. It's like, hey, we've only got a certain amount of time to live, and you're sitting there hunting us. Ryan, did you see anything deeper in it?
No.
And I don't even know if it felt really deep. It's just I just felt like that's what they were trying to tell me. Like it's kind of hinted at. It's basically said in the very beginning when you get the opening, when it's letting you know what's going on. It's like okay, so they're being hunted because they freed themselves. Okay, now they are killers. So now we have a reason to hunt them, but they're just trying to live. And now we got Harrison Ford on the run. Lead into The Fugitive.
Leading to Blade Runner 2049. We'll discuss that part here in a little bit. Now, here's your little fun fact. Do you boys remember, like, constantly on, like, the big screen TVs outside where you had, like, the Asian lady, like, eating the pill?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you also remember the COVID futuristic South Park special where she was also on the screens there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's your little Blade Runner reference in South Park.
Gotta love South Park.
And this is more of a question for Jeremy because Ryan, I know you won't know what we're talking about.
I really do.
So the little test that Harrison Ford would give all the Reploids or whatever they were called. Did you get?
Replicants.
Yeah. Did you get the feeling like that was like the goat from Fallout?
Kinda. I have a problem with that test. I'm. Do you guys? Before I spoil it, do you guys have a problem with that test? Yes or no?
Not really, because I mean I know what they were going for, but
Ryan,
maybe.
did you have any issue?
Nah, not really.
Okay. Well, here's my main issue with it. If you can tell what a replicant is by looking at their fucking eyes, why do you need the test? They glow like orange.
Uh, yeah.
You don't
Okay,
need the
you're
test.
yeah. I'm thinking that now. I think it was more like I don't know. Yeah, they should have done the orange glowing thing in the movie. Then again, maybe the orange glowing thing was just something for us as like the audience.
Could be. I mean, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, I suppose. But I was just thinking that I was like, every replicant that I see, their eyes glow orange. Why do you need this test in the first place?
Jeremy might have found a huge plot point. Okay, well, let's just pretend that's something for the audience.
Okay. I mean, I had to say it.
I mean, if we were gonna be doing this stupid crap, then like, how did Leon like escape the building after he pulled the piece on Harrison Ford? That wasn't freaking explained.
No, it wasn't.
I kind of assume
Probably
he,
missed it in one of those monologuing sessions. We probably missed it there when it got cut. And this is how Leon escapes.
but other than all the nitpick stuff, Jeremy, what'd you think about the all the replicants?
They were crazy, like wild crazy. I don't know who they were replicating, but goddamn.
Ryan?
Also crazy is nice to see Roy take a break from Wayne Enterprises to try to kill Harrison Ford. You don't know Rutger Hauer was in Batman Begins.
Yep. He was the main replicant baddie,
Yeah.
and he was baddie shit insane.
I can't wait till we get to that.
All right. So one of the replicants, she's working as a kind of a exotic dancer. Jeremy, do you know what time it is?
I absolutely doing it. Just so happens he's my favorite replicant,
Good, because it's time for Boob Bonanza.
and that's why.
Jeremy, that scene where she just got done showering, came out, was getting dressed, and she had her boobs out. What'd you think about those boobs?
10 out of 10. We'll watch again.
Ryan?
Pretty stellar.
I'm gonna have to be the opposite of the coin here. They kind of felt kind of old. So
These were '80s boobs. These were '80s boobs, Cody.
that
They
might
all
be
look like that.
that's why they're kind of old looking because this was the 80s. I'm at the deck boob points on that. Still pretty nice boobs though.
Nostalgic boobs, even.
That was another boob bonanza.
That's a good episode of Boob Bonanza.
Apropos of nothing, are we going to review the original Total Recall at one point?
I mean, we could do it next week if we really wanted to.
We absolutely have to.
Maybe that's what we'll do instead of like Predator or Mad Max.
So, in between the action scenes, which action scenes were very, very few and far between. Before we talk about the action scenes, some of the stuff in between I thought was pretty cool. I did like, what's his name, Deckard, Harrison Ford's character in this.
Yep.
Okay, I like Decker's, like, some of his detective work that he did, specifically like that camera machine that he used to like zoom in on photographs. I thought that was pretty badass.
Yeah, it was cool, but I was thinking like he's putting a freaking Polaroid in there. There's no way that the resolution is going to let you zoom in like that and get like the Snake Lady's tattoo.
But it was so cool.
It
I'm
was
just gonna give that one the benefit of the
cool,
doubt.
but there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief there.
Yeah, well, among other things in this movie.
But I think some of his detective work also was kind of impeded by removing a narration because like during some of it I was like wondering like why the hell is he going undercover with this like snake lady? Like yeah, I know that these replicants know that Blade Runners exists and a Blade Runner's gonna try killing him, but like I don't know what he's trying to get at with some of this crap.
That begs the question: what makes a Blade Runner a Blade Runner? Like they're supposedly super good at taking out replicants, right?
I think it's
Oh.
just a special rank of detective.
Maybe it is. I thought they referenced it before as like a special unit, just much better at killing replicants. But maybe I'm wrong.
I think like I said,
Poor Decker got his ass kicked.
it's I think it's just a special rank, kind of like a detective that specializes in. Because he used to work for that police force at the beginning that ended up bringing him in and was like, oh yeah, I need you to get these replicants. And then, oh yeah, and there was a bunch of backstory that was removed through the narration. Like Deckard was supposed to be like divorced. It's kind of why he's kind of an alcoholic throughout the movie.
Is that why the one replicant stays with him, changes her hair to match the pictures, the Polaroids that he had? That makes sense now.
We'll talk a little bit more about that here, but I think it's more of she realized she doesn't have an identity of her own, so she was trying to make one. But let's go ahead and discuss that a little bit. Jeremy, what were your thoughts on Rachel?
She was fine. I like the whole idea of like a different type of replicant, like one becoming. The others were self-aware, but she's more like self-conscious that she doesn't have her own identity. I like that. Not so much the romance between her and Deckard.
That don't
Though.
even get me started. That felt like forced and struggle snuggly.
I was gonna say the same goddamn thing. I was like, I'm getting a struggle snuggle scene, and I'm stuck.
Yeah, that was like handled like really badly, I think.
I mean, other than that, Rachel was a fine enough character for what she was, I guess.
Yeah, I like the idea that they're starting to make progress on these like replicants, where you can't even tell that they're replicants anymore. Where Deckard has to go through like all 100 of his insane questions in order to even get the idea that maybe she's a replicant.
Except for the eyes. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep pointing it out.
Okay,
In
yeah,
my head.
whatever. Ryan, your thoughts?
She's an okay character. Also, wasn't really feeling the romance, but some interesting potential.
I think they expand a bit more on it in the recent sequel movie.
They do.
Okay, you've seen it then?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at this boy with the spoilers all in his head.
Uh-huh.
I'm so proud.
Now, here's your little fun fact if you're unaware. This movie, a lot of people said it was a mess to make. There was a bunch of Hollywood strikes about to happen, so Ridley Scott kind of had to rush it. So him and Harrison Ford were constantly at each other's throats, and Ridley Scott hated like Hollywood union rules because he wanted to do stuff himself, but he wasn't allowed to due to the rules in place. So he was like really unhappy with all the studio meddling and stuff, and that's why we got the original version of this movie. And then later on, we'd eventually get all the different cuts of this movie.
To be honest, I don't think I could sit through all the cuts.
It was revisited in a few years, Jeremy.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much the time span for this one. I would be interested to see like the whole monologue one though. See if I'd enjoy the pace a little bit better.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe to actually explain stuff. But you'll have to do that on your own time.
Yeah, a little bit far down on the priority list. One is enough for right now.
And
for a few years.
Did you know that this was based on a book?
I did not.
Yep. So maybe the book's got even more explanation in it.
If not, it'd be the world's most boring book. When we did get action, for the most part, I enjoyed it.
What's the most part, Jeremy?
The end scene.
Yeah, I know.
It was a mess.
It was. I know what they were doing with it. They were kind of wanting this like like a hunting scene where Deckard knew he was like way out of his element and outmatched.
I get Hunter becomes hunted. I get the idea, but then they just played it off so goofy.
Yeah, I know, that's the thing. It's like Patty's like ripping out nails and sticking them in his palms. I guess it's supposed to be some kind of Jesus allegory. And like slams his head through a wall. Like, here's Johnny.
I thought the same goddamn thing. At that, when he did that, I said, "Okay, what the hell's going on with this scene? Where are we going with this?" It's just Deckard climbing around for what felt like hours, trying to escape.
And then here's your little fun fact about the scene: the whole pigeon thing, or was a dove or a pigeon, whatever, and the final speech he gives right before he kind of runs out of time. That was all like kind of improv. Originally, he's supposed to do some like huge monologue, but well, apparently in a version he did do the monologue, and then he also did that improv stuff, and they ended up going with the improv because it sounded way better.
I like the improv. I'm not gonna lie. I liked his little spiel right before he died, and again, how I took this movie's message was with that, and he's just like it's pretty much all for nothing, based on limited time. But he was so hell bent on killing Decker directly before that. Literally says he's going to kill him the whole time he's chasing him. Has the chance to kill him, and he just saves him holding a dove, just to give him that little spiel.
Yeah,
I'm a petty individual. I would have stopped Decker's hands. You're going down with me.
yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, and we've already been spoiling the shit out of this movie, but Deckard's like hanging from a beam, and eventually he ends up losing his grip, and then the villain saves him, and then gives his little like, "Oh, we're just tears in the rain, just limited amount of time," and then he dies. I kind of think it was more like, all right, I'm like I could let this guy die, but if I save him, then at least some bit of memory of me remains.
That's pretty deep.
Or hold on, before I or it, Ryan, do you want to give any thoughts on it?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Or
I'm waiting with bated breath.
okay, we've got to talk about the theory. Jeremy, Are you aware of the replicant theory in this movie?
Mm, you'll have to refresh my memory. Might have went over my head.
Ryan, are you at least?
That Deckard may be a replicant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they do reference that. Is it Rachel that references? Are you sure you're not a replicant or something like that?
Yeah. Rachel. Well, someone. Yeah, it was Rachel asked him. I was like, "Have you ever taken the test before?" But he's already
That's it.
passed out on the bed by before he could answer it. So, Jeremy, what are your thoughts on that theory?
I mean, I'm fine with it, I guess. A replicant taught to kill all other replicants? That's all right.
Do you believe it though?
No.
Okay, Ryan.
Don't believe it. Hate the theory. I believe Harrison Ford also hates that theory.
He does. I'm gonna go with he is a replicant. So then let me lay out the evidence. So I'm trying to think how to not be too spoily with this theory until the end.
Well,
All
we've
right.
already talked about the end. Just spoiled the goddamn thing.
No, I'm talking about like spoiling the into my like monologue. But
Oh, okay.
so here's the thing about replicants. They don't have memories of their own.
Except for one. Oh, no. Oh, she doesn't have memories of her own. Never mind.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Rachel doesn't have memories of her own. They're all implanted memories. So as we've seen throughout the movie, like all the replicants, they use Polaroid pictures in order to like have memories. Rachel had that Polaroid picture of her mom, and then you find out that that was just the crazy CEO guy's niece. And then whenever Deckard and I think the guy's name was Goff were in like Leon's apartment. They end up taking like all his Polaroid pictures, and then later on, Leon was complaining to Batty that he wasn't able to get the pictures back. So we go to Deckard's apartment, and he has all these Polaroid pictures of his family. Then we've got to talk about the unicorn scene. It's kind of what I said in the intro. So the original version of this movie, Deckard's like unicorn running through the forest scene wasn't in the original movie. It really adds nothing to the movie for the most part, but throughout the movie, Goff, he was constantly leaving like origami, like animals all over the place. The very final scene, Deckard told no one about this unicorn dream, but Goff ends up leaving like a origami unicorn at Deckard's apartment, like right outside of it, which implies that the whole unicorn thing was an implanted memory that Goff knew about, which would imply that Deckard's a replicant.
Hmm. But aren't replicants, like, superiorly strong?
No, it just really depends on it. The if you remember, the snake lady wasn't at all strong. Then like the other girlfriend character, she was like a gymnastic. She knew gymnastics, but wasn't really that strong. Batty, I think he was designed as like a for some military thing. And then Leon was insane. Was like designed to be carrying like 300 to 400 pounds constantly. That's why whenever he's doing the like 80s slap fighting, why uh, Harrison Ford's like really reacting is because Leon's supposed to be like so like secretly strong.
I could see it.
Now we got to talk about Word of God. Ridley Scott says Deckard's a replicant. So there you go.
No shit.
Yeah, Harrison Ford and one of the other producers or writers says like, no, he's not a replicant. Another one of the producers or writers is kind of in the middle ground. Ridley Scott says, yeah, he's a replicant. So it's
This
good.
feels different now.
Yeah, it's kind of like what's that movie? Oh, Castaway. I can't watch that movie anymore because the director said that package Tom Hanks didn't open had a waterproof, solar powered GPS satellite phone. You could have been
Oh
off
my
that
god.
damn island in a week.
Oh my god. Now I can never watch it the same way again. Much like this movie.
Yeah. Kind of ruined that movie for me. Like right after I got done watching it and looked it up.
And Ryan, does these fun, not so fun facts, does this ruin it for you? 'Cause I know you were against the idea.
Nah, not really.
It
You're
gets
talking
good.
Blade Runner or Castaway?
Both.
No. I find the Castaway bit to be amusing.
I don't.
Oh, what do you have in the package? Oh, a collapsible helicopter all fueled up.
This has got pretty packaging. All right. Before we start passing the topic, let's do some boys in action.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, there wasn't that much action in this movie, but Jeremy,
No,
if you were in the movie, where'd you die?
I would die. I would have died at the very beginning when I was ordering my noodles because I would have refused to go with the police officers before I finished my noodles. They would have beat me to death.
Fair enough. Ryan?
I'd make it to the end and Roy would drop me off the building. I'd be the one unlucky bastard that he dropped off.
At least you made it quite far.
That might be a record.
Oh, no, I think Ryan's made it through some movie before. I forgot to mention with the replicant theory is that's the reason Batty kind of saves Deckard is because he realizes that Deckard's a replicant like him. But as for my boys in action, I would have died at like the beginning of the movie where Leon like pulls the piece on Deckard. Like when he does that like spinning chair thing to block it, the future gun would just shot a hole through the chair in my body.
Fair enough.
And that was another
Lo-
boys in action.
I love boys in action.
All right, Jeremy, pass the topic on to you.
All right, boys. We don't have many, but what was your favorite action scene?
I'm gonna say that scene where Deckard's like chasing the snake lady throughout the streets trying to gun her down. It was just really tense where she could easily get away, but he was able to constantly stay on her.
Ryan, what do you feel?
But he took my scene. I think there's a lot of scenes of action scenes that he could steal.
Slim Pickens. Fair enough. I also am going to go with that scene. Also, fun fact, I have never seen this movie before, but I have seen that scene. I do remember that scene.
And apparently the scene where she's getting shot was like the very last thing they filmed in the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
It's also the slowest of the slow motions in the movie. Okay. What else? The vehicles. Did they look like they were? Does it look like Elon Musk took some inspiration from maybe a said Blade Runner movie for his new Tesla Cybertruck?
As I said for the truck.
I don't see it.
I do. Towards the end.
I was thinking more like moon buggy type thing when I saw the vehicles in this movie.
Really? Ah, man, I thought of it immediately. I was like, "There's Elon's inspiration." Also, fun fact: the noodle scene. Speaking of, when Harrison Ford takes out we'll call him Decker. Sorry, Decker takes out his chopsticks and rubs them together. That's extremely disrespectful to Japanese. So don't rub your chopsticks together when you eat sushi.
I'll remember that.
And that's all I got.
All right, Ryan, pass the topic on to you.
Is everybody disappointed that this is not what 2019 looked like?
No, I'm very happy that's not what 2019 looks like.
I mean,
Me
it did
too.
in certain parts of LA.
I think I could die without visiting LA and be happy.
Oh, come on. You'd have such a great time
All right.
in one of two places. But yes, I'm happy it did. 2019 did not look like this.
All right, Jeremy, final thoughts?
You know what? It's worth seeing. I would be interested to see the actual first release with the monologuing if it explained more. This movie was very sluggish for me, and it made it hard for me to watch. It was enjoyable enough. Can I give it the Tairimo Boys certified fun? Not quite, because it's just too much in between.
Ryan, final thoughts?
It's a pretty good movie. Not the most rip roaring good time, but it's a good flick. Ridley Scott in his prime.
These boys have echoed what I think. It's above average, okay movie. If you got nothing better to watch, go ahead and watch it. It's a cult classic. Some people really love it, but all right, it seems our opinions more mixed on the positive side.
Yeah, at least watch it once.
Fun fact, that was on top of the poster. If you got nothing better to watch, watch Blade Runner.
All right, it is time to scale this. So I kind of struggled making this scale, but then I thought, it was like, hey, Ridley Scott directed this, and Ridley Scott is famous for the Alien franchise. So for today's scale, we're going to be scaling this from the first Alien movie to the 2013 video game Aliens Colonial Marines. So Jeremy, on the Alien scale, where would you place this movie?
I would say a notch away from Colonial Marines.
It's that bad, huh?
Well, I mean, Alien 1, I remember, I have fond memories of that, so it was a great movie.
What about Alien 2?
That one I don't remember as much of.
What about Alien 3?
I don't remember anything from Alien 3.
What about Alien 4?
I didn't even know there was a goddamn fourth.
I think there is, but what about Alien versus Predator?
Hold up, I love AVP. If we're putting AVP in there, that's going way up there.
What about Prometheus?
I only watched like 10 minutes of that.
All right. Well,
Okay, I like where the scale is going, but Okay, keep naming off. What else we got?
Jeremy, you know that the aliens colonial marines, the AI was bad because it had a spelling error in it and no one found it for like 10 years.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I don't even think you can buy the damn game on Steam anymore.
I had no idea.
All right, Ryan, where do you place it on the scale?
A little more than halfway towards Aliens. I've never played Alien Colonial Marine, so I'm guessing it's
It's
really
fine.
bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's known for like
It-
one of the worst video games
Yeah.
ever. If you got nothing better to do, look up like reviews and stuff of it. And people making the reviews are having more fun reviewing than they're playing the damn game. But yeah, I'll agree with Ryan. There's some pretty bad alien movies, but it's probably in the upper half of the scale.
I'm putting it in lower just because I love the Alien movie.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Tairimo Boys podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, telling us how boring Blade Runner was. And don't forget to ring that motherfucker bell. Stay tuned for more episodes.